Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over this great article titled, Why Women Lose the Dating Game. And guys, this is a great article, like I said, that pretty much covers everything I've been talking about for the last few months, where basically women get to their 30s because they spent their whole 20s doing traveling the world, having experiences, riding the carousel, getting their masters and PhDs and all that shit, focusing on career. And then they get to their 30s and think that, hey, they can snap their fingers and they can get guys just as easily in their 20s. And not to mention the top percentage of guys. And this article is a complete reality check to women about how they're not the ones that have it made. It's the guys that have it made, because so many women get to their 30s and guess what? Guys don't want them anymore. Okay? The guys that are single, that aren't married, they either don't have anything to do with women at all, or they're dating younger women in their 20s. Isn't that interesting? And so this article, guys, and if you watch this video, for you guys that are in your late teens and 20s, and maybe you're pretty frustrated that, women aren't into you and you feel like, they just want a certain percentage of the guys, I have news for you. I guarantee you, when you get to 30, in your 30s, that's when the man's prime begins. That's when guys are getting their shit together, have more maturity, make more money, have more resources, better social skills, and they're becoming really men. And that's when the women pretty much start throwing themselves at you, as long as you guys have your shit together. That's why I say, I want you guys to always do things to improve yourselves. Get into good shape. Keep yourself healthy. Make good money. If you're not making good money, taking action so you can get a better job or starting a business. The money you have, saving it, investing it, growing it. Get a nice house, get a nice car, have all these things. And I guarantee you, it's going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. That's how easy it is. I'm not saying you're going to get supermodels or 10s, but you can definitely get 8s. Get some game, learn some skills, learn about female nature, learn about dating and relationships. I guarantee you, it's going to be so much easier for you guys. But I want you guys to do, first and foremost, don't do it to get women. Do it so you can have an enjoyable life. That you can have money and live very comfortably or very well if you really push yourselves. You can be healthy and not worry about getting sick or anything like that. And as a side benefit, it's going to make things very easy for you when it comes to women. And this article is going to talk all about that. Now, here's the thing, guys. This article came out in 2012. Now, before any of you guys start bitching about this, because there's always somebody that bitches about it in the comments, what's cool about this article and why I chose it, this article goes to predict what's going to happen when it comes to the dating scene with women and men. That's exactly going on today. It predicts that you're going to have all these women complaining that there's no eligible men. That all these women complaining that guys, in their 30s and 40s, don't want them anymore. And that's exactly what's happening today. So this thing really did a good job on seeing what was coming down the road. So I'm going to go through this, guys. This is a good article before the weekend. I'll put a big smile on your face. So it starts out saying, Naomi sat in the back of a Melbourne's Grattan Institute about to watch her fiancé give a lecture. She was joined by 3 unfamiliar women, all attractive, well-groomed, and in their mid-30s. From their whispered chat, she quickly realized they weren't there to hear about politics and economics, but to meet her eligible man. Naomi explains he's 36 years old and is definitely someone who falls into the alpha male category. Excellent job in finance, PhD, high income, 6'2", sporty, and very handsome. And he's an utter sweetheart. These are her words, not mine. Naomi is an attractive 28-year-old PhD student. She has been in a relationship with her fiancé for 6 years. Her new companions were very friendly and chatted to her during the break. But then her partner, who had been socializing at the front of the room, made eye contact with Naomi and smiled. This is the guy giving the speech. The women saw this, and it was like the room had suddenly frozen over. There was silence, and then one of them asked me if I knew him. I wasn't going to lie, so I told them he was my partner and how long we'd been together. It was amazing how they responded. They stopped smiling at me, shifted awkwardly in their seats, and looked me up and down as if they were trying to figure out how a girl who still wore jeans and ballet flats could land a guy like that. Then the women left before her man gave his speech. Big shocker. Naomi is stunned by the number of women in their 30s who throw themselves at her partner. The colleagues who sign emails with kisses, the female journalist who pointedly asked post-interview if he was married. Yet giving the plight of 30-something women seeking partners, it's hardly surprising that her boyfriend is in their sights. We hear endless complaints from women about the lack of good men. Women astonished that men don't seem to be around when they decide it's time to settle down. Women telling men to man up and stop shying away from commitment. Guys, does this sound familiar to you? And this is in 2012 predicting, it's talking about what's going on then, and then you'll see predicting what's now it's like in 2020. It's amazing. But there is another conversation going on. A fascinating exchange about what is happening from the male point of view. Much of it thrives on the internet in the so-called manosphere. Here you will find men cheerfully, even triumphantly, blogging about their experience. They have cause for celebration, you see. They've discovered a profound change has taken place in the mating game, and to their surprise, they are the winners. Dalrock from dalrockwordpress.com is typical and says, today's unmarried 20-something women have given men an ultimatum. I'll marry when I'm ready, take it or leave it. That is, of course, their right. But ultimatums are a risky thing, because there's always a possibility the other side will decide to leave it. In the next decade, we will witness the end result of this game of marriage chicken. Exactly. And like she said, at the end of this decade, guess what's happening? All these single women in their 30s and 40s that are alone, can't get a guy, but had plenty of opportunity when they were younger, but they thought, hey, I'm so beautiful, I'm so amazing, I can take my sweet-ass time. Hey, it doesn't matter. Well, guess what happens? They've jerked around enough guys that, guess what? Word is spreading, and guys either want to have nothing to do with women, or they've gotten their shit together, and now they're dating the hotties in their 20s. And by the way, guys, about the subject of ultimatums while we're here, never ever tolerate or take an ultimatum. For you guys that do relationships, if a woman, your girlfriend or whatever, gives you an ultimatum, you walk. That is it. You never ever give in to her ultimatum. Because if you do, mark my words, you are then her bitch. And she will treat you like you're her bitch going forward. On the other hand, girl gives you an ultimatum and you walk, one of two things is going to happen. Either you'll never hear from her again, and good, because she's a bitch, or two, she'll come crawling back, and now she's your bitch. So, never give in to ultimatums, ever. For anybody, but in this particular subject when it comes to women. Goes on, the end game, Dalrock warns, about is already in play for hordes of unmarried professional women. The well-coffeed lawyers, bankers, and other success stories. Many thought they could put off marriage and families until their 30s, having devoted their 20s to education, establishing careers, and playing the field. Well, that's a nice way of saying riding the carousel. But was their decade of dating a strategic mistake? Jamie, a 30-year-old Sydney barrister, thinks so. Says, women labor under the impression they can have it all. They can have the career, the carefree lifestyle, and then, at the snap of their fingers, because they are so fabulous, find a man. But if they wait until their 30s, they're competing with women who are much younger and in various ways more attractive. The crisis for single women in this age group seeking a mate is very real. Almost 1 in 3 women aged 30 to 34 and a quarter of late 30s women do not have a partner, according to the 2006 census statistics. And this is a growing problem. The number of partnerless women in their 30s has almost doubled since 1986. So this is back then on those statistics. Look how things are now. It's unbelievable. So guys, like I'm telling you, when it comes to marriage, yeah, the deck is stacked against us, so I tell you guys don't do it. But it comes to being the single life and all that, guys, you in your 30s and 40s, like I said, take care, get your shit together, have things going on for yourself. It's going to be easy. Trust me. The challenge is greatest for high-achieving women in their 30s, looking for equally successful men. Analysis of 2006 census figures by the Monash University sociologist Guinevere Heard reveals that almost 1 in 4 of degree-educated women in their 30s will miss out on a man of similar age and educational achievement. There were only 68,000 unattached graduate men in their 30s for 88,000 single graduate women in the same age group. That's a difference. And the higher education gap keeps widening. In the past year, the proportion of degree-educated women aged 25 to 34 rose from 37.7% to 40.3%, according to the Bureau of Statistics, while for males, the figure remained below 30%, having risen only 0.5% in the past year. Although there are similar numbers of single men and women in their 30s overall, about 370,000 of each across Australia. This article's from Australia, guys. Half these available men had only high school education, 57% earned $42,000 a year or less, and 95,000 of them were unemployed. The high expectations of professional women are a big part of the story. Many high-achieving women simply are not interested in Mr. Average, says Justin Parfitt, the owner of Australia's fastest-growing speed dating organization called Fast Impressions. Parfitt adds, "They swallowed the L'Oreal line because you're worth it. There's a real sense of entitlement." Damn right, we all know this. And where has that sense of entitlement gotten them? Not to mention all the dating apps and social media where thirsty guys, blue pill beta guys, are constantly liking the pictures, commenting on building up egos. Dating apps where a decent looking woman can get hundreds of messages a day sometimes. You can see where this all came from. But it is biting them in the ass. And again, this article was written in 2012. Nowadays, even crazier. And they're dead on predicting how things have gone. He finds many of his female members are determined to meet only men who are tall, attractive, wealthy, and well-educated. They want the alpha males. Most of the professional women rarely give out yes votes to men who aren't similarly successful. Reports Parfitt, who struggles to attract enough of these successful men to his speed dating events. 60% of his members are female, most are over 30. Yeah, from what I've heard, these speed dating things that were definitely big about 15 years ago, they can't do them anymore because guys just don't go to them anymore because so many women are so picky. It's a waste of their time. Again, this is from a few years ago. During their 20s, women compete for the most highly desirable men, the Mr. Bigs. Many will readily share a bed with the sporty, attractive, confident men, while ordinary men miss out. As Whiskey puts it at whiskeyplace.wordpress.com, Joe Average, beta male, is about as desirable to women as a cold bowl of oatmeal. Data from American colleges show 20% of males, the most attractive ones, get 80% of the sex, according to an analysis by Susan Walsh, a former management consultant who wrote about the issue on her dating website, hookingupsmart.com. That leaves a lot of beta men spending their 20s out in the cold. Greg, a 30-year-old writer from Melbourne, started adult life shy and lonely. He says, and listen to this, guys, "In my 20s, the women had the total upper hand. They could make or break you with one look in a club or a bar. They had the choice of men, sex was on tap, and guys like me went home alone, red-faced, defeated, and embarrassed. The girls only wanted to go for the cool guys, good looks, outgoing personalities, money, sporty types, the kind of guys who own the room, while us quiet ones got ignored." Does this sound familiar to any of you guys? If you're honest with yourselves, I'm sure it does. But watch what happens. He barely had a date through much of his 20s and gave up on women. But then, he spent time overseas, gained more confidence, learned how to dress well in his early 30s. He says, "I suddenly started to get asked out by women, aged 19 through 40. The floodgates burst open for me. I actually dated 5 women at once. Amazing my flatmates by often betting 3 to 4 of my casual dates each week. It's a great time as a male in your 30s, when you can start getting more female attention and sex than you could have ever had dreamt in your 20s. See, this guy in his 20s, they weren't giving the time of day, but he obviously got his shit together, and now in his 30s, he's having the time of his life. And do you think this guy, after being what he went through in his 20s, is going to feel bad about hooking up left and right and then kicking these girls to the curb when he's done? Hell no. Goes on. That's when some men start behaving very badly. As the manosphere clearly shows, these internet sites are not for the faint-hearted. The voices are often crude and misogynist, but they tell it all as it is. There is Greenlander, an apparently successful engineer in his late 30s. In his early life, he was unable to get the time of day from women. Now he's interested only in women under 27. This guy's quote is saying, "The women I know in their early 30s are just delusional. I sometimes seduce them and sleep with them just because I know how to play them so well. It's just too easy. They're tired of the cock carousel, and they see a guy like me as the perfect beta to settle down with before the eggs dry out. When I get tired of them, I just delete their numbers from my cell phone and stop taking their calls. It doesn't really hurt them that much at this point, as they're used to the pump and dump." Now that's some payback, huh? And guys, if you guys are, again, your late teens and 20s, and you feel like you're like some of these guys, your time will come. Mark my words. It is easy to dismiss such a bile, but Greenlander's analysis is echoed by many Australian singles, both male and female. "It's wall-to-wall arseholes out there," reports Penny, a 31-year-old lawyer. She is stunned by how hard it is to meet suitable men willing to commit. "I'm horrified by the number of gorgeous, independent, and successful women my age who can't meet a decent man." Well, they had plenty of options when they were younger, but we know what happened. And again, this is from a number of years ago, and nothing's changed. And the younger generation doesn't want to listen to the older generation, so this will keep going on. Penny acknowledges part of the problem is her own expectations. That her generation of women was brought up wanting too much. Now here's where the blame game begins. "We were told we were special. We could do anything. The world was our oyster. And having spent her 20s dating alpha males, she expected them to be around when she finally decided to get serious. But these men go fast, many fishing outside their pond. The most attractive, successful men can take their pick from women their own age or from the Naomis, the younger women who are happy to settle early. Almost 1 in 3 degree-educated, 35-year-old men marries or lives with women age 30 or under, according to income, housing, and marriage surveys by the Bureau of Statistics. I can't believe how many men my age are only interested in younger women," wails Gail, a 34-year-old advertising executive, as she describes her first search through men's profiles on the RSVP internet dating site. She is shocked to find many mid-30s men having set up their profiles to refuse mail from women their own age. Talking to many women like her, it's intriguing how many look back on past relationships where they let good men get away because they weren't ready. American journalist Katie Bullock wrote recently in The Atlantic about breaking off her 3-year relationship with a man she described as intelligent, good-looking, loyal, and kind. She acknowledged there was no good reason to end things, yet at that time, she was convinced something was missing in the relationship. That was 11 years ago. She's now 39 and facing grim choices. Aw, poor baby. We arrived at the top of the staircase, Bullock wrote, finally ready to start our lives, only to discover a cavernous room at the tail end of a party. Most of the men have gone already, some having never shown up. And those who remain are leering by the cheese table or are, the ones you don't want to go out with. So, many women are missing out on their fairy tale ending. Their assumption that when their time was right, the dream man would be waiting. The 30s are worrying years for high-achieving women who long for marriage and children. Of course, not all do, as they face their rapidly closing reproductive window surrounded by men who see no rush to settle down. Guys, this is all dead on what myself and many other guys and other good channels talk about. It's dead on. Like I've said before in other videos, I got a lot of good friends, 30s, 40s, 50s, that have parties and barbecues and all that. And I go to these and I see the friends of the girlfriends or wives, and there are all these women in their 30s and 40s. single or in just on again, off again with different guys, and they're miserable because they can't. They want to have kids, they want to get married and all that bullshit, and guys aren't interested. And I just sit back and I listen to some of the conversations, and it just backs up everything that this thing talks about. Puts a big smile on my face, and they know not even to waste their time with me because it's not going to happen. Goes on, and of course, many women eventually do find a mate, often ending up with divorced men. There are complications with that. Second marriage market, in which men complete with former wives and children. That was never part of the plan. Many really struggle with the fact that they aren't in a position to be too choosy. American author Lori Gottlieb gives a painfully honest account of that process in her book, Marry Him, The Cause for Settling for Mr. Good Enough. She's quoted as saying, "Maybe we need to get over ourselves," she writes. The 40-year-old single mother enlisted a team of advisors who helped her realize that while she was conducting her long search for the perfect man, Prince Charming or nobody, her market value had dropped through the floor. Our generation of women is constantly told to have high self-esteem, but it seems that the women themselves are at risk of ego-tripping themselves out of romantic connection. She acknowledges she made a mistake not looking for a spouse in her 20s, when she was at her most desirable. She advises 30-something women to look for Mr. Good Enough because they have it before they have even less choice. They are with an 8, but they want a 10. But then suddenly they're 40 and can only go out with a 5. Does this sound familiar, guys? Women delaying their search for a serious relationship have set up a very different dating and marriage market. The Sydney barrister Jamie finds himself spoiled for choice. Like many of his friends, he's finding women actively pursuing him, asking him out, cooking him elaborate meals, buying him presents. "Oh, you're a barrister," they say. While many of his mates are playing the field, determined to enjoy this unexpected attention, Jamie is ready to settle down. He's very wary of the Sex and the City types, women who are convinced they are so special, but he's confident he will soon find someone with her feet on the ground. I'm lucky, he says, to be in a buyer's market. Exactly. So like I said in the beginning, guys, this article came from 2012 and it has predicted exactly how things are right now in 2020, and in my opinion, how they're going to go for a while. So again, for you guys, then your late teens and 20s, and you're frustrated with your lack of options and that women aren't giving you the time of day, this shows you perfect examples. Give it time, if that's what you want, of course. But right now, do everything you can to work on yourself. For you, of course, first, so you can have a nice life. Because everything you do in your late teens and into your 20s, that's pretty much going to determine how your life goes. So be smart about it. Work hard in school if you're still in school. Stop fucking around out at the bars and getting high and doing all that bullshit. You know, there's room for some fun, but really spend a majority of your time on your studies. Get the good grades, okay? Work part-time in the weekend if you can. Save some money. Build some wealth. Start investing it. Doing all that. Working on your body. Get a gym membership. Get in shape. Eat healthy. All these things will help you. Number one, it will help your life in general, but also when you get to your late 20s and definitely hitting the big 3-0, when men come into their prime, you got it made. And I'm telling you, you make decent money, have some money put aside and invested, you got a decent place where you live, a condo or house, drive a decent car, dress well, you're in decent shape, you don't need to look like a bodybuilder, but decent shape, you have some game, you understand the fundamentals of women and dating and have some experience, you got it made. It's going to be a big buffet for you, again, if that's what you want, okay? And you have the time of your life. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know your experiences in this department and how, if this article is proven accurate, which I'm sure, obviously, you will see it has. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.